Hello, everybody. Oh, my goodness. What a day. What a day. A couple of reasons why. First of all, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Ergo, little Seattle Mariners City Connect. It's actually really nice here. So it is sunny. It is warm. Another hat that I wear is executive director of Think Northwest, and we have our big Cascadia Creative Awards tonight. So we're very, very excited about that. So creativity abounding everywhere. And of course, coming up very soon, Cannes Lions, and we will be there. We're going to share some more details early next week about what we've got going on at Cannes. That's code for we still don't have it fully buttoned up. But you know what? We are a startup. We are entrepreneurial. We move at the speed of what the all right. But we will have a coverage plan, and we will be reaching out so that we can talk to you leading up to and during the Cannes Lions. I'm Doug Zanger, editor-in-chief and founder of Indie Agency News. Thank you so much to all of our members. We are close to 100 members. Thank you so much for your support. The brief of Indie Agency News is very simple. Build the global home for independent agencies. The mission, serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. And the goal is more visibility for independent agencies, more choice for marketers. Tomorrow, it's fun and games. Friday, we always have fun and games. So Liar, Meryl Draper, the founder of Court Creative, she's over in France, and she is going to be the judge tomorrow for this show, which is a very hilarious, it's basically like Liar, but Planet's Ashleen Larson. So they're in Baltimore. They're members, and Court Creative are members as well. So yeah, nice little twist tomorrow. So that's going to be really, really fun. But today, Thursdays are always about indie work. A reminder that we are going to talk about some new work, some new great work here from Pereira Odell, Ruckus Films, for Manscaped. But I want to remind everyone, when we talk about indie work, it does not have to be new. If you did a campaign, if your agency did a campaign a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, this is an opportunity for us to show the work and to learn, to go through this process, get a little bit more depth so that we all can improve, And, today, we talk about roundtables. Holy cow. We go down to Encinitas. We go to Jason. I forget where you are.
San Francisco. It's okay.
Where are you?
San Francisco.
Yeah, you're in San Francisco. JJ, you're in LA.
I'm in New York.
You're in New York. So now I'm batting 0 for 2. Darbi, you're in Cleveland?
New York.
Yeah, okay, 0 for 4. I did that on purpose. Marcelo is down in the San Diego area. So thank you all so much for joining. And serious thanks I want to give Emma Swanson proper props on this one, because this work, number one, is fantastic, and it got all kinds of very deserved coverage. But again, the whole idea behind this and behind this show is let's dig in, let's get in the weeds a little bit and talk a little bit more about it. But I want to thank everybody for coming together, because I love getting the perspectives, because the lenses that each of you look through, you're looking at the same, let's just say, picture, but you're looking at it through different lenses, and you're looking at it in a way that's, how can I make this even better and better and better? So we're going to dig into that, but we're just going to start with looking at the work. If you have not seen this work for Manscaped, you will laugh. you will laugh. But let's take a look, and then we're going to dig in here in a second.
Forever you and me, right by my side, where you ought to be. 'Cause if I ever were to lose you, I just don't know what I'd do. Let me hear you now.
I think the wedding part. I'm gonna say the wedding, just the reactions, that I think that's my favorite part. So first of all, let's give ourselves a round of applause. You all deserve that. Let's start with the brief. And Marcelo, because Manscaped pushes a lot of boundaries, and there are brands in this category that push boundaries. Manscaped has been doing this for a while. So let's talk about the brief and the initial vision and where it came from your point of view.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the briefing in this case is kind of navigating through a lot of challenges that the nature of our products, and especially the growing line, the lawnmower, which is our flagship product, has a lot of difficulties. And I think that became the natural source of us having to find through humor a way to touch people and to talk about things that are hard to talk about, not only because sometimes people can be a little sensitive, but also to clear, like to be able to show the work in networks and broadcast it.
Right.
So humor for us, I think, first came as a necessity, and then it quickly became a point of strong contact with our consumers. And I think we see a lot of appreciation for how we can talk about those things in a lighthearted way. But for us, the important thing, and which was kind of core in this briefing, is it can't be just humor for humor's sake. So It needs to be like humor in service of, one, showing men that we empathize and we get them and we understand the quirks and the things that happen to men, and especially down there. And most importantly, to promote this, for some, a change in behavior, for some, a better way to do something they already been doing, but to be that positive force towards taking better care of yourself, which I think is both appreciated by yourself, like the people who do it, and their partners. So we wanted something that was really funny, that could play on networks, and that had all those elements. So it's not an easy briefing, but I think the guys at Pereira did a brilliant job, and we're so happy with the results.
No, I agree. And the thing about humor, and as it relates to innuendo or metaphor, and this is for everybody. Just raise your hand if you want to jump in on this one, because it can be challenging in that, to your point, Marcelo, we need something that's going to be able to clear to be able to run on network. But at the same time, there's been this history, and I would say that maybe some of it has its origins in British humor, where the naughty innuendo-y thing, it's just sort of that. I don't want to say it's been played out, but it can be. It's almost too easy to go into, very, very just. It's clearly this. Subtlety and nuance are very, very hard to achieve while still achieving that balance of getting great humor in this. So let's talk about how that was approached, because it could be very, very easy to go way over the top on this, and then you really lose the plot. So who wants that hot potato?
I mean, I can tee us up, but I think, I would say, it was a balance. I think it's very easy. It could very easily have been super crude and, kind of immature and that sort of thing. But I think it was something that we were mindful of, and as well as Marcelo and the team mindful of, is like, how do we maintain that balance, of getting a good laugh, but also keeping it slightly elegant. And so I think we had a sense of, through the scenarios and how the boys would show up, how to kind of approach that. But honestly, it really came down to, how that was going to be brought to life. And I think JJ really kind of took that thought and she held on to that, and not only held on to it, but really made it shine. So, I think we had an idea of it going in, but I think what was on screen and how it came to life is really where that balance was struck. And and
JJ and Darbi, let's talk about that, because I think that there may be some misperceptions about the role of the production company and the film company where it's, you know, oh, they're gonna, and especially, and let's be honest, Ruckus does amazing stuff. Very consistently awesome stuff. That's why the lightning bolts are behind JJ. But
actually just a coincidence. I know it's
I know. Bust out the lightning bolts today. But I will say that, and I've observed this too, being on shoots where I've seen both sides, where the production and film company have felt separate, and then other sides where it's been enmeshed, but in a way where everybody is clearly on the same page and really contributing. So JJ and Darbi, let's dig into a little bit about that, because to Jason's point, they have a vision. Marcelo has a vision. It's bringing all of this together. Darbi is one of the great orchestrators of all of this. And trust me, as a producer, former producer, I know how hard it is. But talk about that dynamic, JJ, of how you approach, like, okay, I see what's happening here. Now I'm here. I really need to get my input in here, because I can really visualize how this is going to be perfect.
Well, I think when, I got the board, to begin with, the way the agency board was constructed, it was pretty clear to me we wanted to do a sort of elevated, elegant take. This isn't like crass humor. Right. So it was kind of outlined very clearly in the way that the work was presented in the first place. And I found that very creatively inspiring. And I really wanted to kind of push that and make it feel like one of these beautiful, like almost like a verite style, like elevated, like cinematic. We just happen to find these guys roaming around the street with their little boys. Like it's just natural, So like a really beautiful kind of naturalistic tone seemed like the most fun version of this, where it wasn't slick and stylized. We're not like pointing out the artifice. We're doing the opposite. Right. So that was the intention in my treatment. And I think like by the time the job awarded, I think we were all like so on the same page about the goal, the creative goal, that, the creative team gave me like a ton of trust. And I felt like, it was so collaborative, but I felt like we were mostly on the same page throughout like the whole production. I know we had, because it was very technical, I did an animatic beforehand. We kind of really had to lock in very specifically, kind of in a way that feels like not fun for creative.
Sure. Yeah.
But it was like kind of necessary just because of the time constraints and, a bunch of practical things. But we were still in a position to like pivot, so like, for instance, like right before production, we kind of got wind that there might be some skittishness around one or two scenes in the spot in terms of it airing on specific channels. So, we had like a last minute, like visual change we wanted to do to protect ourselves in case it went here or there. So it was very like, we were all very aligned, I felt the whole time. And then that allowed us to make some big pivots that could have, really like toppled the ship, I think, if we weren't already on the same page about everything.
Right. Well, and one thing to add, and Darbi, I want to get to you here, is that you mentioned something that I think is really, really important, is and I like that you put a genre, the verite style, but it didn't seem, it had stylings of it. It wasn't like the full verite.
Right.
The full milieu.
A little bit of polish, but
allow me to do a full milieu. But the other thing about this is the interpretation of this is that what you're translating is understanding that the consumer is far smarter than we often give them credit for, right? And so that subtlety, that's in a lot of ways, that's why I think it's so powerful, is it's one of those, it's like when you hear comedians where they say, if comedians are talking to each other and the comedian says, that's funny, they don't laugh out loud, but they're like, oh yeah, that makes it exponentially funnier. So that's the kind of vibe that I got from this. That's the vibe I got from
going for like no laughing. Yeah, that's the kind of comedy.
No, not no laughing. But
it's serious comedy. I like to call it serious comedy.
Yeah, but sometimes those laughs can be those can be perishable. They're out there, as opposed to anchoring something in. It's like, I remember that, and that is good. That is really, really good. So weird analogy, but there you go. Darbi, producers are the heroes of our industry.
Thank you.
My hand to God, when I was at Martin, I would look at these producers and go, how in God's name are you doing this? And I was a morning show producer and I was an audio producer. So morning show, I get it. But that was, one show in Portland, Oregon. This is, these are massive multi-tier, oftentimes global campaigns. Let's talk a little bit about some of the logistics behind it, what some of the biggest challenges were, because these are not simple shoots. These are not simple ideas. Talk a little bit about this process and where it all landed and what some of the challenges were, but also some of the things you learned along the way.
Well, I mean, I think, first off, we had a great assembled team. There was a great producer, Anthony Nelson, myself with him. And then, Ruckus just assembled a great team to support, JJ's creative vision and keeping the integrity in the craft along the way. And, with that said, given we were all lockstep and aligned, the challenges of getting locations, finding location, the technical aspects, the visual effects, casting, making sure that we're, casting a wide net, not only in Spain where we ended up shooting, but also in London to ensure we're getting that correct character. So really, we locked arms along the way. So those challenges were really planned ahead of time, thinking those through and, aligning with JJ, her team, Manscaped team, and Pereira's team. Even the music with that, to JJ's point, having the animatic ahead of time, we were able to send it over to our partner at Quiet City, and they kind of nailed that song. I think Jason and JJ let me know. I think it was pretty much one of the very first songs. So once we got to Spain and we're there, there were obviously it's a very technical shoot. Time is on your side, sun is on your side, you're outside, you never know with weather. It was all very well planned out from Ruckus's production team, our production team, our creative team, Manscaped's team, and JJ. So, it was all great. And we were all interested in having this be a great piece of work. So we all just locked arms and just, let's go,
Yeah. No, and that's the best way to do it. Let's just say that had you chose Vancouver, BC, the lighting would have been different.
Yeah, exactly. Mallorca, we had to go to an island, so it was
Marcelo, was this your choice?
I was supposed to go. I didn't even go. I
stayed. Man.
And I want to just a little story on that, because this was one of those concepts where, and I keep saying that I saw a frame in the pitch, and I said, in my 4 years at Manscaped, I haven't seen a single frame for an idea for a story that was as funny as The Boy. So we knew we had something with potential, but that's when you get nervous, because you don't know if it's actually translatable to production, and it can be something that we feel very strong about, but at the last part, which is making it into an actual piece, it can prove not to be as great as we thought. And right in the beginning, when JJ started sharing some technical tests that she was doing very early, even before we awarded the work, I could tell that we found the right partners. They're gonna nail it. And I tend to be very hands-on, coming from creative. I still have that impetus of getting very close to the production, but I said, in this one, I better just back off, because they know what they're doing. I don't want to screw this up. And I think they did an amazing job. I couldn't be happier with the result.
No, I think it's so. Real quick, behind you got what's that Twix thing, and then you got a skateboard deck. So
this is I like taking pictures and doing photo stacking, where you take small objects.
Oh sure, yeah.
Big. So this is an old Twix that I bought some in 1990s in Prague or something like that, and I decided
You got the skateboard deck on the wall there.
Yeah, and that's Julian, the French illustrator. He has some kind of funny stuff. I have the original Twix from
Oh wow,
the 90s here, but yes.
Oh my God, so good.
think it's from Czech Republic or something like that.
Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Jason probably has like a stash of weird stuff like that.
I do, but not at my dining room table where I am currently sitting. So.
Your Estonia marshmallow collection. So let's, we've touched on the process, and obviously, we want to be protective of company data, but broadly, let's talk about results, because this has been going for a little while. What can be shared about the results thus far? I mean, obviously the sentiment and the buzz and the earned media is off the charts, and I could imagine that it is moving the needle on my favorite KPI. I mean, obviously sales. Like take that out. Kind of similar to like pitching, take procurement out of it. My favorite KPI is brand lift. And I have to presume that the brand lift has been excellent. So whatever you are comfortable sharing, result-wise would be great.
I'm going to disappoint you, not because I'm not comfortable sharing, but we are actually having tomorrow on Friday our 3-month review where we
got it. Okay, great timing, Doug.
All that. So it would be too early for me to share any actual data because we've been, of course, collecting it, and tomorrow I'm going to be like doing a deep dive. But what I can tell is the reception from from the creative community, of course, but also most importantly for us, our Manscaped fan base, and people who are getting exposed to the brand for the first time, and even internally, like the results, like the sentiment has been overwhelmingly super positive. Like people get really excited about the campaign.
Right.
Yeah, maybe in the next call I can share more actual results.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't want to press you. No, I appreciate it.
To give you some hard.
I want to stay with that thought, Marcelo, about the internal piece of this. And the point I want to make here is you're at a brand. Jason and Darbi are at the agency. JJ is at the production company. And this cannot be understated enough that when a brand, agency, and production company, like the whole teams, when they come together, when it is presented to internal teams, when it is out in the world, when it is catching fire in all of these different ways, it cannot be understated how important that is to building a great deal of energy, positivity, and momentum among internal teams. So for the brand, it's like, I work for Manscaped. I'm super proud of this. For Pereira Odell, I'm really proud of this. For Ruckus, I'm really proud of this. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen with other projects, but getting that internal excitement and tailwind seems to permeate throughout. Just like the vibe of it is so incredibly important. Marcelo, I want to stick with you on this because internally at the brand, I have to imagine like, all right, awesome. So glad we did this. And like, how can we go farther with our business?
Yeah, no, and I think this had an extra like element of internal motivation because we are a brand that, although we were omni-channel since our inception 5-6 years ago, we were heavy D2C and performance marketing, right? That's where we experienced our initial growth. It got us to a really good place. And this campaign was actually the inauguration of a more deliberate brand campaigns for Manscaped. This one is centered on groin. Of course, we have other products, and we're going to be developing campaigns for those to support all products soon. But this was kind of us reaching more broadly and reaching out of that core performance format, so that it had that extra flavor. And I think, yes, it drives a lot of excitement internally. I think it showcases the power of what we call a brand message, although it still has product in it, but a more high level brand message can be for us. So yes, it's been really important, not only to get people energized and excited, but also to communicate this new time for Manscaped.
Yep.
And the other thing about the chemistry that you mentioned that I think it's really interesting is I consider Manscaped like an indie company in the way that indie agencies are, where you are in that sweet spot where the talent, the quality of the work is like of the highest level, but you are not bound by these huge structures that sometimes dictate, more processes and like longer and more difficult decisions that gets in the way. So we could really establish like a very tight partnership between Manscaped, JJ, Jason and team and kind of move fast and like have good conversations. Nothing had to escalate to like 3 layers of approvals or debates on the color of like we made suggestions. Most of my suggestions were overridden by JJ, and that was a good thing. I'm glad she did because
JJ,
I don't even know.
you got busted.
that's what a good director does. Don't let people screw up your work, and I thank her for that. But no, we had a really good time, and in my, at least from my perception, it was really good chemistry. I wasn't in the set. That's something that
that's for next time.
That's for next time. It was really good.
Yeah. So Jason and Darby from the agency side, same question about the importance of building that, because there is competence, which is this is what we do in our daily job, and we're really, really good at that. The other side of it, which I would argue is more important, is that confidence. And especially as creative folk, there's some peaks and valleys, like, oh, I'm not doing it. And getting that tailwind is very, very important to continue to obviously everybody at the agency does a great job. That confidence piece is very, very vital. So who wants that one, Jason or Darby? Who wants to start on that?
Oh man. I don't know. I'll jump in. I mean, I think, it's in this instance, I think when we first met Marcelo and the team over at Manscaped, and we went in on this and chose this work, I think we all had an idea that we had something kind of special on our hands. And when you have that, it kind of gives you not just the confidence, but the anxiety a little bit that you don't want to fuck it up.
Sure.
That's the thing that kind of, when you've got something like this, it's like, okay, how do we hold on to it and push and make it as good as we can? Because we are, to your point, confident that we've got something great. And so I think that really kind of drove a lot of energy around this. And I think is what you've ultimately seen the final product is, I think every time a new person or new, partner kind of saw this, they're like, oh, there's something we got. All right. How are we going to build it? How are we going to make it better? How are we going to protect it? How are we going to not mess it up? And so I think that, because of the relationship that we had and we're able to build between the three of us, it gave us the ability to kind of protect it in a way. Which I think is it's the hardest part about this. And I think, when you've got like what is the beginning or kernel of a great idea, when you've got, all these different entities in place, it's not saying anyone is looking to torpedo an idea or torpedo something, but everyone's coming at a different perspectives. And so each of us are trying to protect what is this amazing thing could be, but also protect it to make it better. And I think that's what everybody did. And it's because we thought we had something, and I think it shows in the end. So it's a testament to, I think, us all holding on to what we thought was something special and trying to make that as special as possible.
Right. Darby, from your side, the confidence.
Yeah, I mean, to Jason's I mean, there was a lot of trust, from the beginning. To Jason's point, like we, on paper, we're like, whoa, this is so great. Finding those right partners, making sure with that confidence, but also, that anxiety of like, and a bit of, pressure production wise, like making sure we're executing correctly. But, we had trust in along the whole way, like trust in the creative, trust in our creative team, our production team, JJ. And that really helped lean in because again, we all just communicated locked arm as a team. And that really helped us through the trenches of those moments where we're like, are we doing this correct? Like, is this going to be good? We all had each other, which really helped.
Yeah. And because of the part that you're responsible for, again, God's work. JJ, troublemaker. From your side, and when we look at Ruckus, it's a very storied history of very, very high profile work. And no, I mean, it really, really is. And, part of this is, you do all of these great, you do so much great stuff.
Thank you.
From your side internally, what does this project do to help build confidence among your team?
Well, this is a really, it's I think my favorite project we've done. I don't know if I should say that out loud, but yeah, I mean, we were so excited to get the board all together and really wanted to figure out a way to make it work. So, thrilled that we were able to, I guess.
Right.
And it's been great. It's gotten so much attention, and I think it really is, for our company, like a big boon. So yeah. I don't know.
Everybody wins.
Enough of an answer. Yeah, it's great. We're thrilled.
And as I'm looking at your lightning bolts, all I can think of is David Bowie. So there you go.
Right. I copied it from there's some model that you would all know.
Yeah, there you go.
Had it in her London apartment. I saw an Architectural Digest. Incidentally, years later, opened a company with lightning bolts in the logo. Nothing to do with the company.
Yeah. No, that all works. Final question here, and we could go hours on this, but we'll spare everybody. But we'll have continuous conversations, and and we may do continual follow-ups on this because it really is fun. I want to get to this, and this is more of an advice piece for other independent agencies, and also Marcelo, from your end, from the marketer's end. So Marcelo, the idea behind this is the advice that you would give to indies about selling and work. But from your side, Marcelo, what advice would you give to marketers and CMOs about how to approach evaluating work and evaluating when the work is being sold by your partner agencies? What advice would you give to marketers and CMOs about that?
Well, I mean, that's going to be a more boring traditional answer, but I don't think
that's fine
around it. But I think you need to make sure it's within your strategy, right? For Manscaped, because humor is not just like a tone of voice, it's part of our value proposition. It's how we connect to consumers. It's actually something that we think they appreciate, that we bring, humor to otherwise boring tasks or spaces. Like, shaving is not like historically a place where you can find joy. It's usually about the technical and the chisel look, the hard lines and all those things. So for us, because humor was so strategic, and like humor at the service of a message was kind of testing against our strategy and seeing if it's there. Because sometimes you can get enamored by a really cool idea or interesting, engaging, funny idea, but if it's not serving your strategy, it's really not worth pursuing. So I think that's my kind of.
That's not boring. Why would you say that's boring?
I know, because it feels like talking strategy, and those. I don't
know shit. That's what I get it. I get it. I mean, yeah, that's not boring at all. Far from boring. All right. So Jason, from your side, what advice would you give to other indies about selling and work to their clients and to brands?
I mean, I would say, don't be afraid to take that swing. I mean, I think there was a lot of conversation when it came to the boys of like, is this right? Is this sellable? Can we do it? And, again, it was one of those things like Marcelo, I saw that initial frame and I was like, this is it. We have to present that. So, I mean, I think a lot of it is having that confidence going in that you've got something special, and making sure that, to Marcelo's point, that it is delivering on the strategy and delivering on the message. We talked about this a little bit before, is, great ideas aren't sold, they're bought. And the idea behind that is that if you've done all the hard work, you have outlined the strategy, seen that audience insight, crafted what the messages would be, and have a beautiful execution, it should be one of those things you see a key image or you read the first line and it's there to go. So, I would say don't be afraid, but also make sure that it's tight, it's buyable. You know,
I'm a big fan of key art. Darbi, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have those moments when you're, I think lean into fear. You know, don't be afraid, to Jason's point. And if you are, it's from a production standpoint, sometimes, especially this is like a lot of technical aspects, time. You know, just lean into it, communication, and you know, keep pushing.
Yeah, exactly. JJ, your thoughts on selling in? Great work.
I mean, luckily I don't have to do the selling in.
I know, but you still, you know, there's convincing and finessing.
Yeah, but from my end, I think it's like just connect to it in a real way, creatively, and figure out a way to articulate that connection.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Love it. All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna have all of you go backstage and hold for me. Don't dive out yet. It's not a Zoom call. It's not a Zoom call. Marcelo, Jason, JJ, and Darbi, recent entrant into the Awesome Eyewear Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for joining us. Get backstage, and I'll be with you guys in a second. But thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. I promised you this was going to be a very, very fun one. Oh my gosh. Could have gone for hours, but we won't. We'll spare you that. I want to thank all of our guests. Also, again, thank you to Emma Swanson and all the folks at Pereira Odell for getting this set up for us. A reminder, tomorrow is Liar Liar. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll have a schedule next week. We'll also share some Cannes stuff. Listen, I've been trying to plan an award show here in Portland, so I'm a little behind, but that's okay. That's the beauty of Cannes, by the way. Real brief aside as we're wrapping this up. Part of the beauty of Cannes is serendipity. So we are going to try to find some serendipitous moments. And also we will reveal who will be helping us out with coverage. You might know one of them pretty well. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.